So this palm is a fire hand. We have relatively short fingers when compared with the overall length of the palm. It's a rectangular palm, sure, but it's very sort of rounded in its overall shape. The fingers too are also very rounded off. You can see they all kind of have this uniform rounded feature there. The entire palm feels this way. It's conic, but not in that kind of overly sensual way. This person certainly enjoys the pleasures of life, but also there's a sense of caution there with how the lifeline is tied with the headline for such a long period. So, in general, the conic fire type is someone who's quite efficient, motivated, certainly a doer rather than a thinker, and they don't like the fine print. They probably hate the monotonous routine of a factory job or the confined restriction of an office job. And I think they work by their instincts of feeling and intuition, and probably excel in roles where um, instinct and feeling is essential. So using these a job where using instincts is useful is probably the kind of profession that this person would fall into well. And they certainly have an ability to separate their emotions from their decisions. They're an open-minded, and you can see the long space there, the gap between the head and the heart line. They're an open person. Yes, they're open-minded, but they're also quite a generous person, and that's also seen by the long, um, that low set heart line as well, and the way the heart line strives to reach into Jupiter, this place of idealism in terms of the heart line and where that lies. And with the headline being so straight for such a long period, as well as the heart line as well, in fact, that's a relatively straight heart line as well. Well, it is. It shows again this is someone who's able to separate their thoughts from their emotions. They're able to make decisions that are logical, rational, without tying their emotions to decisions. So in the heat of the moment, they're able to make the right decisions without attaching their emotions to them. So that's the sort of general person we're dealing with. And the first thing that I want to point out here is the short index finger. When you look at where the index finger sort of reaches, it's actually doesn't quite reach as far as the halfway point of the first phalanx of Saturn. So we know we have a short Jupiter. It doesn't reach as far as Apollo either, which is a possible sign of later prostate issues in later life, which is also evidence, which is also sort of corroborated by this island seen here on the fate line. We've got some wispy little lines coming in that appear to sort of affect this area here. And this is another sign of urinary, possible bladder issues, prostate issues in later life. And this is always linked to, almost always in palmistry, linked to an increased amount of testosterone, which is often you see this in line with an inferiority complex. The two kind of go hand in hand, high testosterone and inferiority complex. This person's achievements are forever, whenever they make an achievement, whenever they achieve something in life, they move the goalpost so that it feels as though they do it to themselves. It's almost self-sabotage. They're never quite achieving. In fact, there's never that sense of achievement, because whenever they achieve something, they kind of move that goalpost so that they feel as though there's always something greater to achieve. The grass is always greener type complex. And this is also a sense of sort of low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-confidence. And this is also corroborated by the low-lying Mercury finger as well. And it's often associated with critical, sort of overbearing role models when growing up, but also probably being bullied at school. And this looks likely early life here was very difficult, and there seems to be some disappointment as seen by the heart line reaching down there, reaching towards logic, the headline for reasoning and rationality at a time when emotions are quite heightened, and the heart line reaching downwards, drooping down, crashing down into the heart line there shows disappointment and deep hurt at the time of the age of around, I mean, I want to say 12, but I could be wrong there. It could be a little bit earlier. It could be sort of 10, 11. But the most prominent thing for me is, well, let's just say that's point number one anyway, around the Jupiter finger there and confidence and early life. So let's move on. So the second point I want to make here is about this person's sort of skill set, really, because here you have this lovely sort of concave curvature of the second phalanx of the thumb. It's quite a strong thumb in general. As I said, this is a motivated and efficient person. And this shows diplomacy skills as well as this Mercury finger. Now, yes, the Mercury finger is low set, but when you offset the overall length of Mercury with the bottom two phalanges of Apollo, you actually have a long Mercury finger, especially as when you look at where Mercury lies, it's actually higher. It reaches higher than it reaches the first phalanx of Apollo, even though it's low set. So we have a long Mercury finger. And also, when you look at the tip of Mercury, it's quite long as well. So this again shows an excellent persuader, a good verbal communicator, as well as a good ability to express and translate thoughts into form in itself. So we have here someone who's very capable of facilitating difficult discussions. Someone who is a strong communicator would probably make a very good public speaker had they had this self-esteem, this confidence that they likely deserve. And the fact that we also have, we've got a well-developed amount of Luna. Venus is also very well developed, which shows an obvious kind of vitality and strength. But more than that, the gap is bridged quite well with Neptune. So again, this is someone who's able to captivate an audience and engage with an audience and get their message, literally get their message across to others, to work with others, to the open, wide world. And being that the obvious thing about this palm, really, you've got calluses here. So yeah, you could say it's not even palmistry, is it? This person is a hard worker, that they're physical, that they are likely, strong. I mean, that's obvious by, I would say, the Mount of Venus, just how large and well developed this Mount of Venus is. This shows a strong vitality and a kind of perseverance. But we'll get around to that. So I just thought that was interesting. And overall, the tips of the fingers are long in themselves. And I think this is highly likely this person is quite a religious person. And one of the more sort of prominent features about this palm that really sort of stands out to me is this moment right here at the age of around about 21. And it comes from, it's all linked to this here, which is, inner Mars here. We've got this place of drive and aggression, motivation, and connected to this, we've got this island here on the lifeline up at the age of around about 21. And this, for me, appears to be quite a sort of a pinnacle, life-changing moment that perhaps led to a hospital visit, because it shows it's connected to and affected by, or it's affected by a cross above the heart line. And this is likely an accident, and it could be that this person was in a mood, they were angry, driving, and had a car crash and resulted in some sort of hospital visit or an operation. And it's all sort of linked together. And it's difficult to say exactly what happened at this time, but it's interesting. I'm just sort of rereading here. We've got another moment here which kind of connects into a square, and it's all connected to this one moment here. And I think that, as I say, a hospital visit, operation, squares are protective. The health is inside a protective box. It's a formed structure that's, stopping anything else from getting inside. And also what we have here is, what's interesting to me is the fate line rises upwards and stops when it hits the heart line at the age of around about 53. And for me, this could be an emotional decision or an obstacle around, a health obstacle around, as to why this person stops earning or, stops pursuing their project, their path in life. It could be that their income doesn't equate with the efforts put in, that they feel as though they're putting in a lot of effort and they're not reaping the rewards they deserve. So it could be that income is just stops at this time because of something a bit more practical, as I say, something a bit more physically um, obstructive, like a hospital visit here. So I don't really know what's going on here, but that's interesting. And also we've got here a square on the inside of the lifeline. Now, squares are almost always a good thing in palmistry, but a square on the inside of the lifeline can be interpreted as imprisonment. And it looks to me around about the age of 28 to 34, 35. This person was under lock and key. I think this person did go to prison, but it could again be seen as potentially a hospital visit. So it's interesting to me. And also, when we look at how this square affects other areas of this person's destiny, you can see the fate line sort of weakening and strengthening again at these two different points in time. And for me, I feel like this person went, moved, they changed their environment, they moved to a different environment, and that's evident by the overlapping lifeline that shows a great change in this person's environment. And it's linked, it's all linked, all things, all roads are connected here, because you've got this travel line that comes up from outside of Luna here, and it's linked. So it's, for me, it's as though this person was removed from their environment and their life completely changed, and their destiny changed. They were perhaps, they're either under lock and key, and I think that's more likely that they were imprisoned for something, or they were hospitalized, and so their fate is obviously completely changed by this. And after the age of about 35, they come out of this environment. Either they come out of prison or hospital, and there seems to be a bit of an obstacle at this time, but it doesn't stop them from earning. And this sort of obstacle does also hint at the need to secure future finances, prosperity. At the time that this image was taken, this person was worried about money. There's a lacking of a success line altogether in this person's hand. There's quite a lot of uncertainty and anxiety within this person's. It's just a bit messy there on the sun mount, on the Apollo mount. There's a lot of anxiety around the stability of this person's peace of mind, their prosperity, the stability for their future. So at the time that this was taken, they're worried about money. I don't know how old this person is. I actually got this image off Quora, and I answered it in a written form, but then I thought it'd be good to make a video as well, which is why I'm just spieling off all of this nonsense, because it's all stored in my head already. So it's interesting to me because I feel that at the time this was taken, there's a lack of happiness in this person's life as well. But the good news is, for me, is that, there's an inheritance line right here, and the career line appears to there's a hint of it picking up again in their 60s, which coincide with this inheritance as well. So there is light at the end of the tunnel for quite a sort of dark road traveled for this person. And I do get the sense this person has, as I've already said, a very strong vitality, and whatever obstacle they face, they will persevere with sheer resilience alone, and they will live and die outside of their native place of birth. That's what I feel for this person. A strong communicator, highly instinctive person, and quite a sort of religious person. For the potential bladder issues in later life, I would recommend saw palmetto. It's a herbal tincture. Obviously, consult your doctor before taking pharmaceutical alternatives, but I always think that taking a less aggressive route is better first. And saw palmetto can alleviate, and it often feels like all the symptoms have been solved, but it's not really the case. It can alleviate the symptoms of prostate issues later on in life. Also, here there does appear to be quite a thick heart line, and this wide sort of double spacing here, this sort of almost like a sister line. You can see here the heart line almost appears to double. Widening of the heart line like this shows high cholesterol, but also definitely the potential here for imbalances, metal imbalances in the blood, and this is often as a result of a reaction to um, contact with metals against the skin, fillings, tooth fillings, the overuse of wearing of rings, a reaction to certain wearing of certain rings, but also poor drinking water, over too much fluoride in drinking water, so using a water filter helps with this. Also overuse of aluminium as well. And at worst, this can cause a thyroid issue, which can be seen as 3 lines or more on the little finger. I don't see that in this person's hand. And also to reduce the clogging up of the arteries, it can take a very long time for that to happen. And I highly recommend cutting out dairy, especially milk, replacing protein substitutes with salmon, because fish oils can actually reduce cholesterol, increasing low impact exercise like walking as well. Omega-3 oils as well can help with that. So that's all really the kind of advice I've got here as far as for this person, or if in fact you've got the same kind of palmar markings. So I hope you've enjoyed watching, listening as much as I have reading this palm. It's been quite a fascinating one for me, in terms of just how all the roads are kind of linked and what things mean. And I've yet to hear back from this person. But it'd be interesting to know your thoughts and your comments on this person's reading. So if you've got the same sort of signs, let me know, or email me as well, because I'm always interested to know your thoughts. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.